Hello, everybody, and happy Thursday to you all, and welcome to your daily lighting critique. We have one video that we're going to start with here. This is Kaya, and Ruby just made the sound. I think that is really nice. She started playing this, and she goes, "Ah," and I was like, "Yes, that is the mood that we're going for." In a word. So from the last iteration, you slow down the leaf movement considerably, and I think that helps a lot because it really does help kind of sell that mood. And that just like calming, easy, because like everything else, all the other motion in this is nice and easy, which can keep those shadows nice and easy too. So it's all looking good. The only thing, and this is just probably Unreal things, but there is some noise and chatter going on in the image. Like if you look, and again, it might just be sampling, might just be the fact of the render engine that they're using, yada yada. But like if you look here. And if you look especially like right here, it might be tough to see on through the stream, but basically with these blades of grass and anything that's very small, it's a sub pixel level. What you start to see is when you go from frame to frame, it starts to flicker because literally that blade of grass is less than a full pixel wide. So on some frames it'll pick up as being more than half of that pixel, so it'll render, and on other frames it won't. It'll be less than half. So it just kind of looks like it's coming and going very, very quickly. And just the resulting image is a little bit of flicker. In film, what we would do is we would isolate those elements, render them at a larger resolution so that you would render at, if normally you're rendering at 2K, you'd render at 4K or 8K, so that there are just more pixels and it has more opportunity to actually render out that very, very small thing. And then you would put that back in. But given this, I don't know if there's much else that we can do inside Unreal, but just something to be aware of. And then additionally, if there was any last note that I could add, and it's just that these leaves right here in the background, they feel a little bit. It's just that those right there are a little bit even, where everything else is dynamic. Everything else has like shaping and we got this spot of interest. Like there's just with these, I would do one of a few different things. I would either figure out a way to get a little like one like ray of sunlight through there, or have the sunlight play like they're on the other side of the leaves and start to see a little bit of translucency through them. Or the third case would be to add some specularity to them back there and just get a little more shaping on them. But I don't know if you all, Mindy, Kat, or Ruby, if any of you three have any thoughts on this as well. But I think I'm feeling pretty good about it.
I think it looks good. I don't know how she's rendering this out, but if she's rendering it in the old form of the movie render queue, you can actually increase the resolution on it.
Oh, cool.
So she might be able to go in and do that. I don't know if she's doing that or rendering it as PNG, so...
Yeah, and it might just be like a low res test render too. I mean, I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I was noticing, like, oh, I moved this. If you look like right down here, there's some kind of, because that feels more like popping than leaf movement, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think it looks really good.
Yeah, this is great. Very, very, very cool. All right, let's hop into our stills. So, we will do. I will start with those that are present. First up, we have Mindy, and then I'll go back to everyone else. Mindy, so I think this looks great. I think.
Oh,
that, yeah.
I like it a lot better than my last version.
Yeah, it's amazing. So it's amazing how that small camera shift to the side creates a lot more diagonal lines and less parallel, like less kind of horizontal lines, and it just makes the image a lot more dynamic overall.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and that's like, that version of rendering out a separate like specular pass as, like, it's basically like turning everything to metal and then just dialing that in a little bit in the image. I think really helps out a lot. That's a little.
Now, looking, I might have did too much on the vase on the floor.
That's okay. I mean, like, you can pull that back just a touch, and actually, I think, like, right in here, it looks like it might start to get a little chattery, noisy. Like it's just like little small pixel pickups. So I would say, yeah, just maybe take that down a little bit. See if you can clean that. Like, and if it is a separate pass, you can just blur it by a couple pixels, and then it's fine.
I feel like the explore, I realized there's a lot of noise in general.
That might be.
I don't know if it's like maybe like a or just. I don't know if I should up the resolution yet or just play with the sample size.
I would say, because I'm just trying to like squint my eyes and look at it, like that makes a difference with this. But I think it's in the specular layer. So like if you look in the spec AOV, if you have that broken out, I think you probably just see that. So I'm wondering if it's just increasing the samples in the spec would help, but or in that one individual light could help too. But
Okay.
but yeah, I mean everything else looks great. So once you get those little things cleaned up, go ahead and post it again, and we'll get this posted to the Hall of Fame because that looks really good. Oh, and
Okay.
maybe just a slight bit less saturation on these pieces of fruit in the sunshine, because those the apples are kind of tomato red, and the bananas are banking on almost orange. In their like kind of pure saturation value. That's it.
Okay, will do.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Really, really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, Kat, we've got Kat on here as well. Go ahead. Actually, you know what? This is going to sound silly. I'm going to shut my blinds for just a second because this is such a dark image that I feel like... just give me just 1 second. Sorry.
No worries.
All right. Let me enter some darkness a little bit here. Sorry. This is kind of... Yeah. Okay.
You got to get in the right mood.
I got to get in the right mood. So, let's see. If I had like a candle, I'd light a candle next to me. Yeah, that actually helps a lot. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is looking good. Let's see. I would keep working the speculars in the character himself. I think that he's still feeling a little bit matte, in the same way we did it with Mindy's alleyway. You know, the way that we're gonna render out kind of just like a spec pass on him, just because like again I want to see it a little bit more in his wing, especially, but also like because right now his cape, his chest, and his wing all feel like about the same specular level, and I want him to feel a little bit different there, and then. I'm wondering if. So I'm looking at this region down here, and I'm wondering if because we've got a decent amount of light on the sidewalk, and then it's pretty black in here. So I'm wondering if we can't scrape a little more light into the wall. Just a little bit, like a touch more.
Okay. I think I can just maybe because that's the mask making that super dark like that,
Yeah.
so I can tone the mask down
Yeah, just take
for the
a little bit.
vignette.
It's not so much of a problem to me on the front of the walls, but it's like coming down the sides just because
On the side,
like
okay.
cause, like I can see the connection point there, and it feels like a little bit of a harder line. And then eyes of the cats look good. I would take down the saturation a touch on the light coming up here. It feels a little super red. Anybody else have any thoughts on this one? Good.
So do you want more spec on the wing or less? Because I don't know how specky bat wings are. I have to look. But
I mean,
added some translucency to it too. So
what I've found with the bat wings is the more you can, like from my standpoint, the more that you can make them specky and feel like a almost like a wet leather, the creepier he looks overall, and kind of because it really kind of picks up that detail a little bit. It's like it's whether because I'm guessing in reality bat wings are a little bit drier than that, but it's just that like look that helps get that emotion that he is just a creepy, sinister fella. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
okay, I'll tweak with the sheen and stuff on it.
Yeah, and you can check. The good thing is we have that library of a whole bunch of other good Sir Desmoduses, and you can see it inside those that there's some really, really good uses of spec in the wing.
Okay.
So cool.
Cool beans.
All right, so I'm just gonna shut off my camera here for a minute, just because it seems silly to show me in the darkness, but that's how I'm gonna live my life here for the next few minutes as I look through the rest of these. All right, Jason has joined us, so we'll hop back into Jason's. Yeah, so I think this looks... Oh, I like this level of spec on her. I think that's looking really good. Or, I'm sorry, rim. I meant rim. We were just talking about spec. Because now she's... Because, like, what the thing was that I was having before is that between her skin tone and the light value, she was matching kind of the value of the light around her, and it was causing her to blend in. So really what you want to do is, like, I just wanted to make her like an exposure level brighter, and I think we've hit that. And now we can, like, we're feeling her pose. She feels much stronger. I think let me just open up. I think I have yesterday's version in here. Yeah. So, like, you can see how she just kind of, like, pops off now a little bit more. So really good job there. I think this is good. I think we're ready to take a look at this full rendered out in all of its full frame glory. How are you feeling about it?
Awesome. Actually, I feel like I also bring her skin a little bit
Mm-hmm.
because her skin tone, as you mentioned, it was a little bit darker.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can tell the robot in the
Yeah, I saw it
in
looked like something moved from. Yeah, that's good.
yeah,
too.
it was a little bit way too bright. And as you mentioned previously, the idea is to bring the girl out. Basically, she just beat up the bad guys,
Mhm.
and then I don't want to bring the attention to the robot. So right now I'm just rendering almost everything. I think I just need to re-render the background.
Yeah,
Everything else is ready to go. So
cool.
actually, I'm excited to
Yeah.
finally see this coming up.
Yeah, no, it's great, and it's like the thing I really like about this challenge, this shot, is the I don't know what's the word, like the flexibility that you have to demonstrate from like looking at the character, then looking at the, like there's it's like the character, and then this other thing, the bad person comes in, and then you see her flip. It's just like there's a lot of refocusing the eye of the audience to different aspects of the scene. So this is looking really good.
Thank you.
And I just realized, Ruby, I grabbed yours, but I didn't actually bring those in yet. Let me, I grabbed those right before we started, and we can look at this. There we go. All right. All right. So here's the previous version, and we're working on making the ghost, changing the look of the ghost a little bit, and we have two different backgrounds now. Oh, we got three, I guess, from the previous version. I like this one the best. I don't know if you or anyone else has a strong preference, but this one's working the best for me. What do you guys think? And Ruby, you can chime in as well if you have a strong personal preference too.
If that's that's the top one, I like that one. Yeah.
This one?
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. Ruby, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was in between those two. But yeah, this was the main one that I was going for. But yeah, I wanted to check with you all what you guys thought.
Because the scale fits now. The everything's starting to come into alignment a little bit more in terms of the set. Now it's just a matter of pulling back the green value on the house a little bit. Just because, like, and just shifting that a little bit more towards the yellow side, which is kind of where this light's coming in at. And I think everything else will work the same. I mean, or you can shift the background plate, whichever you prefer. But for me, I think this color is really nice, and I would shift more towards that way. But I won't pressure you otherwise. And then we've got So I think that character looks a lot better with this look versus what we had previously. I think let me just play with this. I think we can actually even go darker in the core and more crazy around the sides. Let's try something. Let's take all this stuff off, and then what we can do is, once we have this, I can take this, put another version on top, and then blur. Let me screen it first. I'll add it, and we'll see how that looks. And then filter, blur, Gaussian blur, kind of small, so we'll keep it a little bit tighter. Actually, we might have to do that a couple times. So just adding a little bit of blur on top there. Clear it around her head. And we'll do one more iteration of that blur, but just make it a little bit wider. So what I was doing there was just taking the original, adding some contrast, and then just kind of soften it in there a little bit. And really, I can still do this. Let me merge these layers and take down the saturation on that a little bit. And I think so something a little bit more like this I think would be good. So darker, because what we can do then is use those, because we don't quite have to go quite this dark with the black points, but using those like true darks of her interior core color, we can really draw the eye to her, versus some of these surrounding elements. And then it's like, because now we have these super darks right next against these super brights, and that contrast is really going to make our eye pop right to her.
Okay.
Does that seem reasonable? Is that okay with you?
So right now the body, like the face, the hands, and like the, I don't know, the lower part, she has like a dress under that coat, and that's also glowing. So should I make that dress like not glow?
Yeah.
Then?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think so. So I think it's basically like all of her skin and like the parts that are her body glows, and the parts that are garments block it with a dark heavy material.
All right, yeah, because the head is connected to that dress that's under. That's why
Got it.
keep it glowing. But yeah, and the other thing that I was kind of not sure, does the glow behind her makes that much sense if it's that dark? If she's that dark? No.
It would be a little bit less. You're right. Yeah, I think a little bit less would be good.
Okay.
Just I like the idea of it, but you're right. It probably is a little strong. Just because again, now that we're kind of limiting it to just like the top half of her, it would get darker as we go down. Like it would just be kind of like super bright up here and then kind of tail off a little as we go down.
Okay. And I kind of like the rim light that I put behind her. Does that make sense, or
Yeah, I love it.
should I?
Because it's more about it, because like it does, like we're not like it, being a being from the beyond. I think that we can get away with like more abstract lighting on her, and I think a strong rim makes a lot of sense on her.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
And also,
Yeah.
I was having some issues when I render. So the grass is like they're like cards. So some of them are showing like the alphas are working, and some of them I get the whole like rectangle when I render out. So it
make sure that the in Arnold there's like that opaque tab, if I'm right, inside Maya. So if you just like select the Google it just to double check me on this, but inside the material, inside the attributes of the actual property itself, of the actual geo, there's a checkbox that just says opaque, and you can uncheck opaque, and it'll make it so that it'll read the alpha as a transparency within the texture. That's my guess is that's probably still clicked to opaque. They do that as like a rendering efficiency by default, because that way it doesn't have to try and calculate the transparency of everything, only on the things you specifically tell it.
And would that get messed up, like when if I put the fog in? Because that happened when I put the fog.
Oh.
And I also noticed that I lost like the material on like the rock that you see over there. It's like I lost specular and like pretty much the whole material.
I mean,
and some of the windows and stuff, so I had to like get a little Photoshop.
oh, that's surprising, but not totally surprising. Like I wouldn't expect that to happen, but now that you're mentioning it, like I guess that calculation might be not reading the same opacity information as the regular render, but I don't.
Alright,
Yeah.
I'll check.
Yeah,
I'll
keep
check
playing
the
around with it,
tab.
and yeah, if you have some examples, you can post those too, and we'll take a look.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, thank you, Ruby. All right. So, let's see. I think we've got everybody's submissions that are live. So I'll just start going through the rest here. So this is another one from Kaya. So overall, I think that this is heading in the right direction. I think this is really nice. I would love to see some reference images for the for your interior space, because interiors can be rendered in and by rendered I mean just like done a million different ways. It could be high contrast, low contrast. Like we can be exposed for the interior, we can be exposed to the exterior. It's really just like making sure that we are in the same wavelength. In terms of a few general things that I would do, it's always tricky when you're combining interior and exterior light. I feel like this interior light is actually a little bit too bright, because I feel like whenever you have this much light shining in, it's actually more overpowering than you think it will be, and then this wouldn't show up as bright. The other things that I would consider too would be darkening this foreground a little bit, because it's kind of a lot of just having some vignette down there, because it's a little bit of empty space down there without like there's no reason why we would want to look down here. So if we just vignetted this edge a little bit more, it would allow us to look back into the space. Probably the biggest one for me is that, like when I saw this, it's nice seeing things on Discord because they're originally like just like a little thumbnail on my screen, and then we get them bigger. So I get this opportunity to see something as a thumbnail first, and when I saw the thumbnail, I was a little confused about what it was, and I think that was because it was like there's so many small shapes in here. Between like the breakup of the leaves coming through, which are a great idea, but at some point I think we should create. It's probably just in this foreground, like a little bit of a larger, kind of a larger space of light to really kind of center our focus. Because right now, like if I kind of squinted at this, like my eye kind of just jarts all over the image. Like there's really not a central focal point for me to kind of zero in on. A little bit. And
The other thing I noticed on this is her depth of field is kind of weird.
yeah, it's
Because it's like, I think she's trying to have us focus on the toys, but you kind of more instinctively look straight and not down.
mm-hmm.
And that's like it's just a weird depth of field setup. So I don't know, maybe making it wider or something, but yeah, there's a lot going on in the room, which isn't a bad thing, but yeah, you got to figure out a way to make it focus onto one side. Also, the leaves are a little funky on the plants. They don't seem to have translucency or subsurface.
Yeah, and a little specularity would be good on those too. Where like these flowers look really good. Yeah, totally. Actually, because like the framing, if you kind of step back from it, again, lots of what's like visual clutter, a lot of like, and then as we get down here, like basically everything within this. Actually, I can even make that bigger. Everything within like this space is very visually busy. Like there's a lot of small shapes in there. Everything outside of it are just like it's like you can count like 1, 2, 3, and then all of this is 4. So there's just like 4 big shapes outside of that. So it's like finding that because all these small shapes kind of create like a visual, what I like to think of as like a visual rhythm to it. It's like the small shapes are like kind of a like, and then when you combine that with a larger shape, it's a little jarring. But so I would just focus in on those for now, and then we'll go from there. But it's a good start.
Maybe if she kind of maybe got rid of some of the background stuff, so you could focus more on the toys if that's where she wants, that would probably help.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold off on that for now, just because it's I think we can compose it well, we're having all that geo back there will really be a benefit because it'll create some visual interest back there. But yeah, I think yeah. But that being said, we gotta really dial it in because again, like if we keep this light on, that's just pushing us back there to a spot that we don't want to be looking at. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna just want to turn that off. All right, cool. All right, so next up we have Nathania with this look and a really cool reference that you posted here with kind of this combination of, you know, warm tone with the white light coming in, and like so the brights are whiter, and I think that's really neat. So for me, it would be more about like at that point I would say that we should make these sunlit hits be a little bit less saturated then and a little bit more on that white level, because for me it was just the disconnect between the two colors, like white light shining and then like, you know, because it probably is just white, but given the surroundings it almost looks blue, so now it's like blue light turning into warm light. I love the darkness on this fireplace. I think it looks really great. I think we can get something similar back in here because like I love the way that the shadow play and the back of the books is there, but then once we get into this like fog of light, it kind of muddies up a little bit and we lose that just a touch. Yeah, that window's cool. Also wondering, let's see something. And while I'm doing this, does anybody else have any thoughts on this for now? So I'm just going to just see about adding a little more contrast. Take down that saturation to kind of match where we had it. I would consider adding a little bit more contrast to the image. Like you could see just watching the highlights, watch the brights where the sun or the light hits. You can see just that just adds a little bit more pop to it, and then bringing up the darks kind of does the same. And then you could still have that warm tone in there, that kind of matches this. But I think it just makes it a little bit more of a rich experience. But that's just my thought there. All right, and last on our list today, I believe, let me just double check this. Yep, we have Theo. So Theo looking. So my first thought when I saw this is looking good, is that I want to expose it more. It feels underexposed, in the way that it's like for a few things. One, the white snow would always feel like it's. White snow is hard to photograph on a daytime scene because it just immediately wants to go bright, and when you're feeling it this dark, it's like you feel like it's being compensated for, and like when it's not even white, when the white snow isn't quite white, you know we're a little underexposed. So and you can see it here in the graph that there are no values really on the super high end. So I would want to see it more kind of like in this range in terms of overall exposure. Now, the other thing is that down here, we also don't have, it's interesting because we don't have a lot of dark values, but the ones that we do have are very, very dark. Like if I look kind of in some of the crevices, especially around the house, you can start to see some really kind of like almost jet black values in some of here. And so it almost makes me want to pull back a little bit on the contrast in the original image and see if we can't get some more like ambient bounce light in there. And then I think that the light from inside the house might just be a little bit too red orange saturated. Even if it was like a fireplace or something, that still feels very saturated for what that is. And then I'll open it up. Anybody else have any thoughts on this? Yeah, those are the biggest ones. And then like even when I lighten this up, if you kind of look in this region here, like especially right, like kind of right there, like this snowy area just kind of feels a little gray and could use some more pop. Let's see if we just kind of push that a little bit brighter. Then it kind of...
I think the reflections on the ice are really cool.
Yeah, I think
They're
so too.
different than you usually see. Looks
Yeah.
like you got a really good HDRI for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Those look really good. Yeah, and actually, that background's a little darker, but like you can see just by adding a little bit more brightness to that snow. And again, it's tricky because you want to create that layering going back into space thing, where it's not super consistent from front to back in terms of the values. But I just think that I think we can just go a little bit more in some of these areas because you just want it to feel clean. But yeah, all right, y'all. That's it for today. Keep posting, keep sending stuff, and we will take a look again tomorrow. So until then, enjoy the rest of your Thursday.
Have a good day,
All right,
everybody.
bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.